So it's Sunday today, and I'm actually going to be up later this night to watch this debate between the American president candidates, because I think it's fun, actually. A little bit weird, but I think it's funny. I see it as entertainment and news at the same time. But I'm a geek when it comes to politics and stuff like that, so yeah, that's me. But anyway, today, I thought of something today. I'm really, really bad at one thing, that is following instructions. I'm good at following instructions, recipes and so on, the first time I do something. But when I've done it once, I get sort of, I don't know, bored, I don't know what, or something. I want to do, own version of it. I'm too creative to follow this instruction time after time. So when I have like a hint of how you do it, I try to switch ingredients in a recipe, or make follow the tutorial for making pants or something a little bit different. I want to add my own personal touch to everything and so on. And in a way it's a good thing, but in a way it's a bad thing, because sometimes it had been much simpler and faster to just follow an instruction from point A to point B to point Z and be finished with it. And but well, it hadn't been me in that case. Today I made some pants for Roo, some quick versions of pants. Whoops, like these in velvet. And if you know me, you know I love velvet. It's my favorite kind of fabric, and it's so cozy. Love it. Those, and I made this just in jersey version. Pink leggings. She hardly have any pink clothes at all, but I think it actually has a lot of white and black shirts and so on. I think it could be nice with pink too. And as I talked about it before, that she is not wearing diapers at home anymore, but she do at preschool, and I wanted to stop doing that at preschool too. But they need more pants in case of accidents, so I have to make some new. And also she's grown so much for the last weeks. It's like she's growing like 5 inches in her sleep overnight or something. No, not really, but maybe an inch for an inch in a month or something. And you can tell in all her clothes and so on, it's very getting too short. Also made those. Also my favorite fabric and one of my favorite colors. It can't get better, It's so. I wish I could wrap myself in this, but I can't, and it doesn't look good in adults. But yeah, it's really nice. And yes, I'm gonna fix this. But yeah. So, and she won't go to preschool tomorrow because she's still ill. So anyway, but I think you're gonna do 2 or 3 more pants. If she has some, she can bring to preschool and have as extra pants. She has an accident. Yeah, I also saw at the news about this survey which done at the University of California about asking people if, and this kind of half big survey, it's like, I think it was 3,000 or 4,000 people in it in the American version. We have done similar now in Sweden, is why they talked about it on the news, but it's enough to make statistic of. I think the limit, the lowest number you can have is 2,000 answers in order to make it at least partly accurate. So anyway, the question was, what would you like the most, more time or more money? And 2/3 of the people answered more money, in the Americans. In Sweden it was the opposite. It was, I think it was more than 2/3 were answered money. I think it was almost everyone. I said the time. I think it was almost everyone answering time. So that's quite a huge difference. But the interesting thing is that, well, it's not interesting when you think closer to it, but when you look at it first, was that among the people claiming that they wanted more time was the happiest people, while people wanting more money was the most unlucky people, most depressed people and so on. And also, there are no connection between having money and being not wanting more, wanting time instead and so on. So it's, you can be poor and wanting more time and be happy, Or you could be poor wanting more money and be unhappy, or you could be rich wanting more money and be unhappy, or being rich wanting more time and being happy. And the conclusion of it was, which is quite obvious I think to most people, but the people who are lucky are the people who value other things than material things, because if you focus more on relationships and things like that when you want to have more time, to be with your family and do things for yourself that makes you feel good and so on, then you're becoming a happier person. People who want more money are more likely to compare themselves with others, and when you compare things with somebody else, you always find somebody who has more than you, or you think is better than you, and have a happier life than you, and have something you don't want. It's like this about appreciate what you have instead of longing for what you could have. It makes you happy if you appreciate what you have instead of longing for something else. I think that's makes a lot of sense. But it's interesting when you put it in a study like this. And yeah, I think if you listen to any of my videos, you know that I have picked time over money. I work less hours a week and so on in order to have more time for my children, and I've always done, and I always will, because they are most important to me. And also gives me more time to do things like making those plans for Roo, or knitting, or painting, or whatever. It's making those videos. Not that they take much time, but anyway. So to me that is very natural. But it also reminds me a bit about poverty. There are, if you look at how people who have grown up in poor homes, how they describe their childhood, there are two major categories. There are one category of people saying, oh, we didn't have much money, but had really great parents and great siblings, and we did a lot of fun together, and was always guests over, and my dad played the guitar, and I had a great childhood. And the other categories are people like, oh, my mom was a drunk, my dad was abusing me, and he left us when I was little, and my grandma used to beat me, and we were so poor, and it was so horrible to never have any money for anything, and it was, and so on. And the interesting thing is that the people who have grown up in a non-abusive, in a, let's say, normal, harmonic home, even if they don't have much money, don't remember poverty as a problem. They're not afraid of being poor when they're older. They are less likely to be poor when they're older, because they're not so focused on having money all the time. They're more focused on just living. While people who are have grown up in abusive home and been the victim of parents' addictions and so on, are more likely to blame the poverty. Instead of saying, oh, it was horrible, I had a father who abused me, they say, oh, it was horrible, I was so poor. And they are also more likely to pick a rich partner when they grow up, but a partner who are more likely to be abusive than other people. And I think that is something one knows since a long time, that people who have been victims of abuse are more likely to end up in an abusive relationship when they're adults, or becoming an abuser. And there are lots of different studies of this, and some studies have shown that it shouldn't be that much difference, but after all, by all those other studies, I think it's been a fact for quite some time that there are this connection. But I think when you look at studies of this, it should be so clear that it's not really the lack of money that is the problem, but the lack of dignity and respect and love and so on. But I guess it's much easier to blame something you can have a power over changing. It's easier to get a lot of money than getting a nice husband. It's simply as that. It is easier to fix material things than the emotional things, and then you rather focus on material things as it is like anxiety faster than things which are harder to fix. And yeah, but anyway, I think it was interesting to see those studies of the subject, because because it's something a lot of people talk a lot about, including me, but there are not done that many studies of it. And yeah, it's always nice to see that